Imagine returning from a blissful getaway only to find your luxurious hot tub turned into the neighborhood's secret party zone. Trust me, you won't believe who was behind it. So, there I was back from a much-needed week-long hiking retreat, feeling refreshed and ready to unwind in my very own backyard sanctuary. I had been off the grid, enjoying the sounds of nature and the solitude of the mountains, only to return to a scene that was as bewildering as it was infuriating. I opened my front door to find my pristine lawn littered with soggy beach towels and scattered wine glasses, like breadcrumbs left behind by a raucous, unseen party. The first red flag came when I noticed that my hot tub cover was askew, half-hanging as if hastily replaced after some covert operation. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly off. I traced a line of wet footprints across my stone path, leading right up to the hot tub. It wasn't long before I remembered the security camera I had installed just a month earlier, a spontaneous decision to ensure my privacy. With a sinking feeling in my stomach, I checked the footage. And there she was, Karen, the self-proclaimed head of our HOA, in all her absurd glory, dressed in a sun hat and leopard print swimsuit, casually sipping wine as if my hot tub were a community amenity she was entitled to. Not alone either, she was surrounded by 3 other women, all wearing matching HOA-approved name tags, laughing and clinking glasses like they were at a 5-star resort. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. You see, Karen had a reputation. Over the years, she'd overstepped her bounds in ways that were both petty and astonishing, from sending stern letters about mailbox aesthetics to fining neighbors over minor infractions. And now here she was, brazenly hosting parties in my private retreat without my permission. I knew I had to act, but I wasn't about to let her get away with this blatant invasion of my privacy. After the initial shock wore off, I invited Karen over for a confrontation. I approached her door with the evidence in hand, my phone ready to replay the incriminating footage at any moment. When she opened the door with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, she greeted me warmly, almost as if we were old friends. "Welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful trip," she said breezily before casually mentioning, "Oh, by the way, we made good use of your hot tub while you were away." I was taken aback. Her nonchalant attitude only fueled my determination. I was not going to let her treat my property like a free-for-all resort. As the days passed, I dug deeper into the HOA bylaws and discovered that my property wasn't even under her jurisdiction. Karen had been flexing her imagined authority for months, controlling every little detail in the neighborhood with an iron fist wrapped in bureaucracy. It was then that I realized I needed a plan that was both clever and completely above board. Being a systems engineer by trade, I was no stranger to creative problem-solving. I decided to turn the tables with a little bit of harmless but humiliating payback. The next morning, I set my plan in motion. I made a quick trip to the local pool supply store and purchased a bottle of blue tracer dye, normally used to spot leaks, but today it was going to be my secret weapon. Then, I swung by a specialty spice shop and picked up a tiny bottle of ghost pepper chili oil concentrate. With my arsenal in hand, I returned home and prepared the trap. I filled my hot tub with warm water and, with utmost precision, added a measured dose of both the blue dye and the chili oil. The idea was simple. When Karen, or any other unauthorized guest, soaked in the tub, they'd not only be drenched in a vibrant blue hue but also experience an unexpected and fiery burn. That Friday night, I faked an out-of-town getaway by casually mentioning to my mail carrier that I would be away for a couple of days. I even turned off my porch lights to avoid drawing any attention. Then, I sat back and waited, watching my upgraded security cameras with bated breath. Sure enough, on Sunday morning, as predictable as clockwork, Karen showed up, this time not alone. Accompanied by her usual entourage and, to my utter surprise, even the HOA president himself, she strutted into my backyard like she owned the place. The scene was surreal. There they were, lowering themselves into my sabotaged hot tub without a word of apology or hesitation, as if nothing was amiss. At first, everything seemed normal. They chatted, sipped their drinks, and relaxed in the warm water. But within minutes, the trap kicked into high gear. The blue dye began to swirl through the water, gradually tinting everything with an eerie, bright blue. One of the women paused mid-sip, squinting at her arm, and then the chili oil made its presence known. At first, it was just a slight irritation, a few scratches, and a cough here and there, but then chaos erupted. Shrieks filled the air as the burning sensation took over, and in the ensuing frenzy, wine glasses flew and people scrambled to get out of the water. Karen's composure evaporated instantly. I watched through my camera as she leapt out of the tub, slipping on the wet deck, her skin now an unmistakable shade of neon blue with angry red splotches from the chili burn. It was a scene so absurd and hilarious I couldn't help but feel a pang of triumph amid the pandemonium. Not wasting a second, I stepped outside with my phone in hand. Karen, still seething, tried to regain control and even threatened to call the police. But I was prepared. I had days of footage documenting every moment of her trespassing and subsequent humiliation. With a calm smile, I explained that her unauthorized use of my property had been well recorded and that not only would I file a report, but I would also be sharing the evidence with our neighbors. Word spread like wildfire. By the following Monday, a highlight reel of the incident was circulating among the community, and soon enough, it became a viral sensation on the neighborhood Facebook group and even on Nextdoor. The tide had turned. The once untouchable HOA Karen was now the subject of endless memes and jokes, her authority questioned by even the most timid of our neighbors. The aftermath was swift. The HOA president, embarrassed by the whole debacle and recognizing the misuse of his funds, called for an emergency board meeting. At the meeting, with all the evidence laid out before him, the board unanimously voted to remove Karen from her self-appointed leadership role. Her reign of petty tyranny had come to an end. But the drama wasn't over yet. A day after the incident, I received a very formal letter delivered in person. Printed on fancy paper with a language that oozed authority, it demanded that I correct what was described as a serious breach of HOA protocol. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity. It was as if Karen was trying to issue a decree against me even though my property was not under the HOA's jurisdiction. I immediately went over to the HOA president's house to show him the letter. His weary look confirmed what I had suspected. Karen had been overstepping her bounds for far too long. Determined to ensure that this wouldn't happen again, I took further measures. I had a professional plumber install a backflow valve on my private well, a precaution against any future tampering. Additionally, I redirected water from an old and used gray water tank to flush any unauthorized connections. It wasn't just about revenge anymore, it was about reclaiming my property and my peace of mind. In the days that followed, Karen's antics escalated as she tried to rally support for a petition to expand HOA boundaries to include my property. I received an anonymous note warning me that you'll be sorry when the neighborhood hears what you did. I knew then that Karen wasn't ready to accept her defeat. But instead of succumbing to her schemes, I decided to embrace the unexpected notoriety and turn the situation into an opportunity for community bonding. I organized a neighborhood barbecue, a lighthearted celebration dubbed the Jetstream Jubilee. It was a clever pivot. Instead of dwelling on the negative, I invited everyone to join in a night of fun, complete with a karaoke machine and, of course, plenty of food and drinks. I purposely avoided showcasing the full details of the footage at the party. Instead, I let curious neighbors ask questions and then shared my side of the story with a smile and a hint of sarcasm. I wanted to show that while I stood firmly against entitlement and abuse of power, I was also a person who valued community and good humor. By the end of the night, as the last embers of the fire pit died down and laughter mingled with the cool night air, I couldn't help but feel a sense of victory. I had not only reclaimed my space but had also restored balance in our little corner of the neighborhood. Karen's actions had inadvertently brought us closer together, as neighbors who once lived in quiet tension now shared inside jokes and a renewed sense of community. As I sat back with a cold drink in hand, watching my hot tub bubble peacefully once more, now safely under my control, I realized that sometimes the best way to fight back against entitlement is with a bit of ingenuity, a lot of evidence, and the support of a community that refuses to be bullied. And while Karen might have the last word in her endless memos and formal letters, the laughter and unity of my neighbors proved that petty revenge, when done right, can spark something far more meaningful, a neighborhood united against the abuse of power. So, if you ever find yourself the victim of an overzealous HOA, remember this: there's always a way to turn the tables, to reclaim your space, and to do it with a bit of creative flair. And who knows? Your next backyard party might just be the celebration of your victory.